Alrighty, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Amanda Lewis. I'm one of the graduate students from ICATER. That's the Iowa Center for Assistive Technology Education and Research. We've got a lot of great tech tools to show you guys today, so I'm really excited to be talking to you guys. A little bit about myself real quick. I'm working on my PhD in school psychology at the University of Iowa. I'm just finishing up my second year, so still a long way to go, but that's okay because I'm having a blast here at ICATER. I'm also a student with disabilities myself. I have several different learning disabilities, both in written expression and math calculation. So a lot of these tools are very near and dear to my heart because they were essential to my own success, both in my secondary and undergraduate careers, and they continue to help me now as I pursue my doctorate. Certainly. Okay, so starting us off here, one of the things I like to do is just learn a little bit about what kinds of tools are most interesting to my audience so we can try and focus in a little bit. So are there any particular skill areas or areas of support that you guys would particularly like to see today? Go ahead and sing out. Organizational tools, we will definitely cover some of those. Any others? Yes. Okay. So note-taking type tools? Excellent, yeah. It's mentioned here. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. So one of the neat things about assistive tech is that there's so many different ways to come at the same thing. One of the first sets of tools I'm going to show you are some Google Chrome apps and extensions. Do we have anyone who's familiar with using Google Chrome apps and extensions already? Excellent. I see a few people. Very good. Who here has not heard of this type of tool? Anybody? Okay, so a real quick orientation. So these tools all run within your Google Chrome browser. So that's a web browser just like Internet Explorer or Safari or Firefox. And one of the neat things about this is because they are embedded within the Google Chrome browser, they are not device-based. They travel with you to whatever computer you log into, which makes them powerful tools for students on the go. So in order to get these tools, you're going to go to the Chrome Web Store after you've downloaded your web browser, your Chrome web browser. Here I am in the Chrome Web Store. You can see I can search for apps, extensions, or both. I'm going to search for an extension. You can also search by category. So like if you're looking for tools for reading, you could type in reading. And then I'm going to look, and here we are. Here are all of these lovely tools for reading, including the one I talked about, readability. In order to add it to my Chrome account, I'm just going to hit Add to Chrome and give it permission. And I always tell people, don't be afraid to try out tools, because if you don't like them, removing them is as easy as up here you can see my extension Bahr. You simply right-click, remove from Chrome. It is that easy, so do not be afraid to experiment with these tools. So a little bit of specifics about these tools. You heard me talk about apps and extensions. Very important to know the difference between the two. An app is going to function almost like any other program you're familiar with. It's going to pop into its own window, do its own thing. So if you use Gmail, Gmail is an app. Google Docs is an app. Google Drive is an app. Whereas an extension extends the functionality of your browser. It comes with you to any web page you navigate to. So do we have any pinners here? Anyone use Pinterest? Your Pin It button is an extension. So I'm going to show you a few of my favorite extensions. First one I want to show you is called Extensity. This is an organizational tool for your Chrome. So you can see here with my mouse here, it's this little yin-yang looking thing. And what Extensity does is, I think of it, it's kind of your app and extension concierge. It's going to allow you to organize all of your tools. You can see here I have the picture and the name. That's really helpful for remembering what's what. A lot of other ones only have one or the other. You can see that some of them are in color and some of them are kind of grayed out. The ones in gray are the ones that I have turned off, because we know that anytime we're loading lots of things, a computer is just like a person. It gets overwhelmed. The more things you're asking it to do, the harder it has to work and the slower it's going to take. So keeping the tools that you're not using turned off makes your tool run faster and keeps things from getting too cluttered. The ones that are grayed are off, to reiterate. Okay, so then, yes. As easy as clicking, like so. Yep, so you see I clicked it and the beeline thing went away, that red and blue one. I click it again, there it is again. Just that easy. Right, so they are already attached to my Google account. Excellent clarification. One thing, as you turn them on and off, sometimes the web page doesn't get the memo that it's been turned on, so it's often good to refresh if you've just turned a tool on. Yeah, right here. Okay, so moving on to the actual tools themselves. The first one I want to show you is a great one for our students who are interested in reading tools. This is called Beeline Reader. I'm just going to click, it's this B right here, this colorful one here. I'm just going to click it. There we are. Okay, and here we are. Now you can see that several things happened, right? First one that's most obvious is my text turned colors. Now why might we do that? So you can see that it starts black, turns to blue, the beginning of the next line is blue, gradually transitions back to black, beginning of the next line is black. Most of the time when we're tracking to keep our place in text, we're using our finger if it's paper, right? Now how are we supposed to do that if it's a screen, or heaven forbid a touch screen? So this is taking the place of that digital tracking by changing the colors, make it easier on your eyes. I do not actually have a difficulty with reading, but I use this tool myself because, you know, when it's 12 o'clock in the morning and you're reading your 15th paper for your thesis, it's a lot easier. It offloads that task, and I encourage students with difficulties to remember that even if a particular area isn't difficult for you, making that area even easier frees up cognitive energy, makes it easier for you so you can tackle those things that are tougher. The other thing that it's done is you can see that the font itself has changed. This is the Open Dyslexic font. It's an open source font developed specifically for people with reading disabilities. And the idea is that these letters are made to do two things. First off, they're weighted. That you see how the lines are thicker on the bottom? So that helps orient them for students. Some students do experience this feeling that letters are moving around, so that helps orient them on the page. And then they also went through a great deal of effort to make sure that each letter looks unique. So you can see here that these A's have that little hook on the top instead of looking like an O with a stick next to it. So that helps with that visual discrimination of letters. Just one way to make things easier. Yes, that's an excellent question. You can see here in the corner I've got a little gear. I always tell people if you see a gear, that's code for I am a menu, click me for options. So you can see here that I can turn this Open Dyslexic font on and off here. Boom. You still keep the color. I can also modify the color. So if I'm working in the library and I don't want people to see all these goofy colors and think I'm different, I can change it to dark. So it's a lot more subtle, but still if you're sitting right there with the screen, that might be enough for you. And you can customize these colors as well. Great question. And then of course you can see that it also cleaned up. There's no ads on the sides, things like that. Better distraction. More. Yeah, a lot of people do, but you can also see that all the pictures relevant to content are still there, and all of these links are still live as well. So the full functionality of the web page is retained. Free, 100% free. You can go and add it to your Chrome account right now for free. Yes. Change the size. That is not a feature that's built into Beeline. You can see that it did make it a little bit bigger automatically, but there are other tools. On your handout, you'll see a tool called Zoom. that allows you to zoom in and out, and there are other tools as well that you can stack functionality. So that brings me to another excellent point, that a great thing about Chrome extensions is you can stack functionality. So if this is working great for you, but you also want it to be bigger, you can stack a zoom thing. I'm going to show you in just a minute a text reader, so you can have this read to you. And you can stack those on top of each other to customize your experience for what you need. Yes, I do. I can show that. Yes. We're all about flexibility here. Okay, so you'll remember what I said about sometimes you have to refresh. Let's see if I'll have to refresh for this. Probably. No, you silly thing, we don't need that. Okay, well that'll make it easier anyway. Okay, so this is zoom right here, this Z. You can see I can turn it up really easily. So, you know, there is a built-in zoom, but this is smart. So it reformats everything. Did you guys see how that was working, how it reformats to make it easier? And I can customize how much it zooms very easily right here from my extension toolbar. Yeah, so it'll zoom way in for you. Great question. So the next tool I want to show you guys is called Voice Instead. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click, and you can see my little option for Voice Instead. We have our sound. There we go. Let's try that again. Can anyone hear it? And you can see I've got play, pause, stop down here. This is another free tool. You could hear that it was reading it a little slowly. For some students, that might be a benefit. For some students, that might be too slow and be boring for them. So you can see here when I click on my voice instead, it's this little yellow bubble here. I can have it set to the new TTS. That's just a type of software that allows it to read the text to me. Text to speech, TTS. And when I set it to this kind, I can increase my speed, my volume, and there's also voices, because everything's more fun with a British accent, right? And then, of course, you can test the voice within that. So that is another free tool for Google Chrome. There's a variety of other text-to-speech tools in your handout, including iSpeech and SpeakIt. Those do have limits for how many words it will read for the free version, but you can pay for a premium version. Excellent question. Voice Instead does not. I believe SpeakIt does. And the tool, yes. And then I have a tool that I'm about to show you that has some neat language things as well. Which brings me very nicely to Snap and Read Universal. So Snap and Read Universal is this blue one right here. And you can see when I launch it, it launches as this nice little toolbar on the side here. So an important thing to understand about text-to-speech tools is there's two basic kinds. Most of them can only read accessible text. So that's text that you can select, you can search. The computer knows it's text on a more code file level. Has anyone ever had like an ugly PDF scan sent to them and the computer thinks it's a picture? Okay, that's what we call dead text or inaccessible text. Most text-to-speech tools cannot read that. But there is a type of text-to-speech tool called OCR, or Optical Character Recognition, that works like an eye and can read text within images. Snap and Read Universal has both kinds of text reader for you. So I'm going to demonstrate. This is the regular text reader, writing as it read. So that's really nice for tracking with it, keeping those eyes on text, great for comprehension. There's also 2 other tools that Snap and Read has that make it a powerful, powerful tool. So I am, yes? No, this is all just Snap and Read. I am not using Voice Instead at all for this. Yeah, and I'll show you the voices in just a moment. No, this is all within Snap and Read Universal itself. So, other 2 tools I want to show you real quick are the translation feature as well as the text leveling feature. So I'm going to go ahead and click here. And you can see that we have some words that weren't italicized before but are now. So I'm going to go ahead and click this. Oh look, it's translated it into Korean for me. I was testing this with a friend of mine who is a native Korean speaker. She tells me it works pretty well. This is powered by Google Translate. Has dozens upon dozens of language options. So really great for students who are English language learners as well as students who are learning a foreign language so they can embed that foreign language vocabulary into what they're reading anyway. Yes? As far as formal studies, I can't speak to that, but I have run this through a friend of mine who's a native Korean speaker as well as a friend of mine who's a native Spanish speaker, and they say that both of those work pretty darn well. Great question. Okay, so you can see that with one click it translates it into Korean for me. With another click, this is the original word, genetic. Genetic, related to tiny chemical assembly instructions inside of living things. Hey! Simplified that word, and it's really marvelous. It doesn't just swap out words, it will swap in whole phrases to make that text leveling better. And then if I want to, so in order to toggle those different settings, you can see I can toggle my text and highlight colors if contrast is a concern for you. Right now I have the speaking to be in English, but you can see that we can have it speak in a variety of other languages as well. We've got Dutch, French, German, Hindi. I mean, there's quite a few languages that it supports. And then I also have, this is volume, speed, and pitch, so you can customize that voice. This is the text leveler, so from simple to complex. And then finally the translation, and you can see that there are even more languages. I mean, there's Hmong, there's Malay, there's Maori, just every language you can think of. Yiddish, available in this tool. Now, this is not a free tool. This is $100 per year per student. Site licenses are available for those of you who are educational administrators. We make this available to students at the University of Iowa through their student fees, which is a lovely service that we offer. But this is a powerful, powerful tool. Questions on Snap and Read? Awesome. Okay, moving right along then. One more nice tool for reading is Rewordify. This is actually a website where you simply paste text in. So let's go back to our crazy Mongoose article here. Control-C for copy. Control-V for paste. Rewordify the text. And you can see that, again, it has switched out. Oh, I see. We've got a little fight going on because I've still got Snap and Read. That stacking isn't always seamless. Since I still have Snap and Read turned on, it thought that I wanted some things translated, and Rewordify doesn't support characters. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. But you can see here that endemic to, commonly found in, really nice text leveling yet again, and it highlights that for you. So this is a free website that you can access through any browser that you prefer. Okay, so moving on to, let's see, what other tools shall I show you while we're on the computer? Okay, so we had somebody wonder about organizational tools. I'd like to show you a tool I use myself. This is called Wunderlist. It's a free website. You have to sign up, make an account. But you can see, let's see. Okay, so Wunderlist is a free website. There is also a phone app available. So it goes across devices. They talk to each other. It's really nice. And what makes Wunderlist really cool is it's got a couple of really neat features. So clearly I can just go ahead and type, so let's pretend I'm going grocery shopping. I need some apples. Cool, and you can see I can record things with my voice if typing's problematic. And there it is right there. Now, let's say this is actually an assignment. I can create due dates. I can have it give me notifications that things are coming due. I can create subtasks. Let me actually get it. Oops, wrong. Okay, here we are. So when I double click, that's how I get this drop over menu. So I can add a subtext. So let's say this is a homework assignment I just added. And I know I'm going to have to make an outline and write a first draft and do some research and all these other things. I can create those subtasks within this main task, check those off, really nice for organization. I can move these to different lists, just drag and drop, or I can right click. I can add files, either voice, add it to the Dropbox, add notes to it. Here's a really cool thing. You can share these lists with other people. So, you know, mom and dad, if you're starting to try and promote, think of transition with your student, you want to promote that independence, you can be shared with those lists and help provide that support. Maybe you're doing a group project with some of your classmates and you want to keep track of things. That's a great thing to do with your classmates. You could probably create one. It wouldn't be called a template necessarily. What I would do is I would create a homework thing within this, basically create a task, and then I would create a folder called templates. You can see like I've got ideas and grad school and shopping, things like that. You could create a folder and call it templates, and then you could copy a to-do. You saw me do that, so like move to-do, copy to-do, and you could just make a copy of that to-do and then fill in the specifics. That's how I would create a template for that. Other questions? Yes? Like I said, that does have a phone app as well. So it's smart, it syncs up automatically. So this is really nice. I never forget my grocery list anymore. I never forget what's due when anymore because it's on here. And it's already there. Yep. Or if something occurs to you and you don't have your computer open, boom, boom, it's already on there. Excellent questions. And then, of course, I can also email these, print these, all kinds of really smart features for that. This is free. This is a free tool. So there is one of my favorite organizational tools. While we're on computers, I also want to show you another awesome organizational tool. I will not actually demo this because it will get in the way of our demo, but I'm going to show it to you. So this is the Stay Focused extension. This is another free extension. Who here has caught themselves goofing off on Facebook or Pinterest or some site they probably shouldn't have been on because they had work to do? Me 1,000 times. So what Stay Focused does is, this is what I kind of think of as a willpower booster to help you have a healthy relationship with your technology. So kind of the backbone of this tool is you have two lists, your blocked sites and your allowed sites. So your blocked sites would be those time sinks, YouTube, Facebook, whatever your poison is. Allowed sites would be sites that you use frequently to do your work. So, if you have a site that you use for a lot of research, if you're a Google school, whatever, you can have that on your allowed sites. And then you start setting limitations. So you can have a max time allowed. So maybe I want to, cut down on my Facebook usage. I'm only going to allow myself 10 minutes a day on Facebook. That's enough time to check on everything. That's plenty. I can have it for active days. So if you don't care how much you're goofing off on Facebook on the weekends, simply unselect your weekend days. It won't limit your usage on those days. Active hours. Who here's had a class that's really boring and you get really tempted to goof off? So if you know that that class is between 1 and 3, you can set it so it restricts it just for that period of time. So that way you can really focus in. You can customize your reset time, so maybe you want your reset time to be 4 o'clock when school's all done. You're all done with classes at that point, maybe. There's also the nuclear option. It is aptly named, so when you're down to the wire, you need to really focus in, get that paper done. You can tell it to nuke all websites, everything except on your allowed list or just your blocked list. There's also a smart bomb, so you can block certain types of content. And then you choose the duration of time, and then when you want it to start, and you nuke it, and there is no takey backsies on that. So even if you're tempted to go and goof off, it won't allow you to. So that's really great when you really need to drill down. Yes. Until the duration expires. So like 1 hour, if I hit nuke them right now, good luck, you know, for 1 hour you're stuck. Not with the nuke option. You could uninstall the extension. I always tell people this is not a parental control. This is for the student who wants to really own their usage. And this is just to help them take ownership of that. But if you've... Yes, again, this only works in the Chrome browser. Yes, although you can uninstall that or change your default browser. And frankly, most, you know, Internet has its own issues. Internet Explorer has its own issues, but I won't get into that. Yeah, I like you. Anyway, so how do you change these options, you might ask? So here's where it gets fun. The challenge. If you select this option, the only way to change your preferences is if you input the challenge text. So you see I've got this block of tests right here. You want to pick something that's impossible for you to remember altogether. So this is not a passcode, not even a passphrase. It is a block of text. And what I tell people to do is to print that text out and put it in a drawer at home. And then when you're out and about and you're in class and you're tempted to goof off, well, that's just too bad because you can't remember the challenge text. So I guess you'll have to work. So that's a way to kind of keep yourself accountable. Questions? Yes, to yourself, again. Yeah, this is for an individual who wants to really monitor their own usage and make sure that they're doing what they should be doing when. You could certainly introduce it. What I would strongly recommend, and here's my school psychologist coming out, I would really have a conversation with your student about buy-in and make sure that they understand and really have internalized that having a healthy relationship with their technology is an important thing for them. You know, if your student's getting frustrated and stressed out because he's not getting his work done and then, you know, he's making bad grades or stuff, that can be a great conversation starter for this. And actually we have research that shows that if you actually make a behavior contract and actually have them sign it, that actually really helps. It's the actual signing and having that buy-in seems to be very beneficial. But again, if he's really not bought in to using something like this, he's going to find a way around it. How old is your student? 13. Yeah, he's going to find a way around it if he's really motivated to find a way around it. So you want to get that buy-in. So yeah, it's a pain. You know, I get mad when it tells me no more Facebook, but I know that's good for me and I need to be working. They need to be to that point to really get the full functionality of this tool, which again makes it great for college students who are ready to really take control of that learning, be independent, and fly. But it's certainly something you could introduce. One more tool for kind of life skills stuff. I don't know about you guys, but I'm kind of a night owl. I like to use my devices late at night. I'm sure we've all heard that the blue backlighting from our screens, not only is it hard on our eyes, but it also kind of messes with our body's natural sleep-wake cycles, our circadian rhythms, kind of fools us into thinking it's morning and we shouldn't be tired, releases that serotonin, amps us up. So this is a handy little tool called G-Lux, that's G.Lux, it's on your handout. There's also a desktop version available that you can install on your main device. But this is a Chrome extension. And what G-Lux does is two things. First, you can set it to change the backlighting of your screen with the time of day. So as it gets later in the day, that backlighting will become more and more amber toned to help cue your brain that, hey, it's getting late in the day, you should probably start making that melatonin, getting ready for sleep. Some students also experience a lot of eye strain from this blue lighting, and so they can go ahead and turn that on immediately as so. So I'll show you how that works. This is a great demonstration, guys. It just goes to show I do this for a living, and sometimes I'm like, now why is that doing? Just keep trying. You're not going to break it. If you're worried about breaking it, you don't know enough to break it. So you can see now that it's this lovely amber tone. I can still read it fine, but that's a lot easier on my eyes, and it's not going to keep me awake. Again, that's G-Lux. Some students do find contrast to be a really big feature that really affects their experience when reading or when interacting with web content. There are extensions that can invert colors, that can change the color of the text, the color of the background. If you're interested in those, do a little search like I showed you right at the beginning for color inverting or color contrast, or come up and talk to me. We can talk about some of those options. So that's also nice if you're keeping a weird schedule. So let's see, for my next trick I've got a handy little cheat sheet here. Oh, why don't I go ahead and show you. Who here is interested in some math tools? Anybody interested in math? Okay, a couple of folks, excellent. Okay, so I'm going to show you a couple of different math tools. First one I want to show you, this is an app. So when I hit my apps here, I'm going to go to GeoGebra. That is on your handout. I'm going to click it. Like all apps, it's going to open in its own window. You know what, Flux? I think I'm going to turn you off. I don't think we need you right now. No filters. Save. There we are. You see how I did that? Okay, so GeoGebra has a lot of really phenomenal tools available for students who are studying higher level math. So I would say this is really great for high school and up. Some middle school students might be dealing with content at this level. So you can see that we've got algebra, we've got a little calculator, you can type things in, a lot of great shortcuts. So this is really great in particular for our students for whom handwriting is challenging. This was actually one of my big problems when I was doing math. I freaking love math, but you can't see up here, but my handwriting is terrible and it's very laborious for me. And so that made doing math difficult because you have to write lines and lines and lines, very fatiguing. So this can be a really great tool for typing that in. You can see right now I've got it set to where we're plotting, so this would be kind of your y equals mx plus b flavored stuff maybe. A lot of great things there. Let me actually show you. I'm going to go back. Oh, hit it too many times, serves me right. You can see we've got geometry. Has a really great tutorial. I encourage you to look at the tutorial. So I can start making lines, slider. I mean, you could spend all day playing with this. Here's all your angles, all your slopes, all kinds of great stuff. So I recommend GeoGebra. And then another one I want to show you, and this is something we haven't covered yet, is add-ons. So you can think of an add-on as kind of like an extension for a specific app. So right now I'm in my Google Docs app. You can see right up here I have add-ons. When I click add-ons, I've got a whole bunch of different tools I can choose from. I love my EasyBib bibliography creator that'll automatically generate citations for you, create your bibliography for you. You can put in an ISBN number or a URL and it'll automatically populate it. Among other things, this is also a website. So I strongly recommend that tool because if you're not already, and hopefully you are, but if you're not already in college, it is an expectation that you will cite, or you will get in very big trouble. Don't do that to yourself. Make it easy. Use EasyBib. Tell him where you got it. Yes. EasyBib, and it might be on your handout. Yeah. But what I want to show you guys is a tool called GMath, and I am super excited about this. It just came to my attention a few days ago, and I've been playing with it. As a student with writing difficulties, I say usually most people are either prediction people or dictation people. I am a dictation people. I prefer to speak because fancy that, I like to talk. I'm sure you guys never would have guessed that. So I like to dictate, and what GMath does is it allows us to dictate our math. So using the LaTeX interface, so that's just a formatting program there. I can see this speech to math. I just hit my microphone. 2x over 3. Well, that's a new one. I've never seen it refuse to insert. One thing you have to mind with this tool is if you're not dictating to it, you do need to turn it off or it will start writing whatever you're saying. So little caveat there. Some students prefer to use a headset with a mute button on the cord for that reason. Anyway, you can see that it correctly heard and formatted. I can copy and paste this somewhere if I want. I can edit this. This is fully editable. There is also a handwriting recognition, so if you use a stylus and you prefer to do it that way, you can write, oh yes, you're fine. Oh, there it is. It was just a little lag probably with our internet speed. I know we've got a lot of users now. You see I hit it multiple times, so it added it multiple times.
So this is an add-on you have
To Google Docs, yes.
okay, what was the name of the add-on?
This is called GMath. G in parentheses, math. It is on your handout.
It's on page 3 or 4.
And following with our theme, this, like many of our other tools so far, is free. This is a free tool for math. And it does support most higher level math. You saw when it gave me several options. I can create graphs, great for statistics. If you do like to handwrite, but maybe your handwriting's kind of messy, and you want it to look neat and pretty, you can handwrite on here with a stylus if you've got a touch screen device. And it'll type that out real pretty for you like that. Great question, yes. Increase image size. Ta-da.
And you could do it just like you could do in Docs.
Yes. Yes, you could do that as well. So there's a built-in one and there's the default one. It works with both. Other questions? Okay, splendid. Let's see, what shall we do next? Okay, why don't we, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna change gears now since we're already on speech-to-text tools and show you some tools that are very near and dear to my heart. Like I said, I am a speech-to-text kind of a person. It is the reason I am able to work at the doctoral level and produce written material at the doctoral level. I would not be able to keep up if it had to come through my hands. Even though I am a fluent typist, I just kind of get that block. That's where that neurological disconnect happens for me. And I don't know about you guys, but how many people have looked at a blank page and just frozen, gotten the blank page freeze? Yeah, see, that happens to a lot of people, even if you don't have a writing disability. So I find that speech-to-text is a great way for getting around that blank page freeze. So I'm going to show you guys kind of the top-of-the-line speech-to-text program. This is Dragon Naturally Speaking. Who here has heard of Dragon? Okay, a lot of you have heard of Dragon. Who's seen Dragon recently? Okay, so we have had a lot of phenomenal progress in speech-to-text in just the last few years. If you remember Dragon 7 or even Dragon 11, it's come a long way since then, baby. A long, long way. So you can see here that as I've launched Dragon, it launches my Dragon toolbar, which is up here, the Dragon bar, as well as the Learning Center, which is kind of a great cheat sheet as you're learning to use Dragon. I really love that. So I'm going to go to my little demo document here. And when I turn it on, it's going to start listening for my dictation. Welcome! Exclamation point. I am excited to be presenting to you today. Period. Go to sleep. And you can see when it turns blue like that, that means that it's not going to be taking dictation. I can turn it back on with my voice. So this is really nice. If your roommate comes in and you're in the middle of writing your term paper and he's trying to talk to you, you can just real quick say, go to sleep. It's off. You can deal with the roommate. He leaves. You go right back to writing your paper. Yes? This is Dragon 13. We are now on the new Dragon, which is simply called Dragon Naturally Speaking. It would be Dragon 14, but they finally did away with the numbers. So this is actually the last version. ICATER has just gotten some fresh licenses of 14 that I'm so excited to play with. But this is actually my personal machine that I use, which is why it has my voice file really good on there. And I can show you a free tool that does speech to text really nicely, but Dragon is the gold standard. The voice training has come a long way, and so I have musical theater background. I'm a singer, and so using that clear diction is fairly native to me. And so it's trained to me doing that. But if you have a student who's pretty consistent in how they speak, it will learn how your student speaks fairly well. Potentially. There's a lot of training. Yes. Yes, and it will learn from that. And actually these new versions will even learn from corrections that you make typing, which is a huge improvement. So since I don't have a dexterity problem, I will often do a combination. So yeah, it's a different program now. I would encourage you to try a trial version and just train it real thoroughly. Another thing, there are different techniques that your student might be able to work with to try and help him on his end, metering and enunciating, because I can talk pretty quick on this and it's fine. So it might be better to practice the enunciating rather than the speed with him. I don't know what his particular challenges are, but that can come with training. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. When it rains, it pours. Absolutely. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Well, and the good news is a lot of times it's good enough that it will get, maybe it'll miss a few words. But go ahead and let him have that spurt and then go back and edit. Go back and correct. Oh, that was supposed to be a can, not an an. Fix that, and just go through very systematically. And Dragon will learn from those corrections, do better next time. And that's also great practice for his editing skills. That idea that you can't create and critique at the same time, and so I often will tell people to free write. We know that free writing is an evidence-based practice for producing quality written work. You just get everything on the page and then you edit, then you organize. Students for whom writing is difficult, they're not going to do that because this is an efficiency exercise. If it's hard, if every word on that page is bought with your sweat, blood, and tears, you're not going to waste any of them. So speech to text gives students who have trouble with writing an opportunity to do that free writing process. So I will actually tell people, don't even look at it. When I'm at home, I'm working on a term paper right now. I don't even look at it. I just sit there with my outline maybe if I've already made one. Otherwise, I'll just talk about whatever's rattling around in my brain about the topic, and then I'll make an outline from that. And I just go. I just talk. And then I can turn around and edit it and fix it. But that does two things. Keeps me from freaking out about the blank page, keeps me from worrying about how much is on the page, keeps me from worrying about mistakes. And then I turn around and I edit it, I fix it, I add things. And the next thing you know, that 4-page paper is done. And oftentimes students who do have those bursts when they're writing, they're going so fast because they're afraid they're going to forget the idea. So you can also use this as a keywords thing. So like if he has an idea, he can just say a few keywords. But like I said, it's doing a lot better with speeding. So I would encourage you to trial it. There's a couple more tools. Yeah, so I won't belabor this too long, but I do want to show you guys a few more things that Dragon can do. Wake up, select I am. Undo that. Select I am. Select welcome. Hello. Insert after today. About technology. Go to sleep. So you could see there that I was able to navigate around, insert things. You already saw me add punctuation. I can add not just end marks, but commas, quotations, parentheses, anything you want. I actually didn't show you. I should have showed you. I can go to a new line, just say new line. One of the recent improvements in Dragon is the commands have become even more intuitive. And so there's often more than one command for something. So if you just think of what a command might be for something you want Dragon to do, chances are that's it. So I really encourage students to just play around with it. It's become very intuitive in recent years, and you can see that you can have a nice little cheat sheet for you. You can create custom commands, you can train it further. The possibilities are endless. Now, if you're not quite sure if your student is going to be a speech-to-text person, some students are very self-conscious about speaking their first drafts out loud, and some students just don't get past that. Also, it can be hard to know if that's going to be right for them. There is a tool called Voice Note 2, which is in your handout. It's a Google Chrome app that is free. There is not the training portion. It's not going to be quite as precise, but I've been very impressed with it. I actually used it when my previous laptop bit the dust and I was waiting for this one to arrive. I used Voice Note 2 in the interim, and it worked for me fine. So that can be a really nice one to give your students to play with if they're trying to decide if it's going to be the right tool for them. So there is a training process. It is very quick, and then there is additional training. If you go up here to the Dragon bar, you can see here, up here, performance assistance, improve my accuracy. So you can give it additional training. This is particularly good with students who might have some slightly atypical speech, might not be real good with their diction. That's where you could do that, but the initial setup process takes under 5 minutes. It's very quick, and there are options for if you have, say, an accent like I grew up in the South, and many people had a very fixed Southern accent, so there are options that you can kind of default to. Hey, this person has a Southern accent. Hey, this person, there's even an option for teen. Fun fact, when linguists are studying the evolution of a language, they watch teenagers because they're the ones that first adopt new words, new phrases, even new ways of tonality like vocal fry, which is kind of that, wow, that's really awesome. That's fry. Anyway, yes, you can have multiple user profiles within the same license of Dragon. Great question. And you would want to do that. Trying to share profiles is not a good idea. So make sure, correct. So like if Patti tried to dictate right now with this, it would have a very hard time. Even though clearly Patti has great diction, you know, no problem. It would still, because it's trained to me. So I think, didn't Jenny once try and do it on my profile? My colleague Jenny tried to demonstrate using my profile, and it was interesting. Well, and that reminds me of another great thing about Dragon is you can see Dragon is a standalone program, so I can use it in Word, I can use it in Excel, I can use it to dictate an email, I can use it anywhere that I can input text, Dragon will go. Excuse me, and for students who have dexterity and mobility concerns, it can also be used to navigate the computer. So you can open Windows, launch programs, save files, you name it. Okay, so I remember we had any more questions about Dragon or speech-to-text in general? Okay, so I remember we had several people wondering about note-taking tools. I want to switch gears. Another place where Dragon sometimes helps me, although not necessarily in class, because obviously it makes noise, is with note-taking. As you can see, I am a PC user, and so my note-taking tool of choice is called OneNote. It's part of the, I'm going to go ahead and take this off. It's part of the Microsoft Office suite of programs. So many of you may already have it on your computer. If not, you can purchase it at the Microsoft App Store. And this is what I use to take my notes. So I remember we were just talking about recording notes. You can see here I can record audio or video, either one, and embed them directly into my notes. I'll actually switch over here. So these are some notes that I took the other day in my behavioral interventions course. You can see I imported my professor's slides that she had made available to us before class. And then I was able, yes, so that was something I imported, so that's the file printout. I can also attach files. So the other day I actually stuck I guess it was an intelligence assessment, I stuck a document. This is a PDF of a literature article, a peer-reviewed article. Right, this is my text box, and I can move that around. I can make it bigger and smaller. This is really great. I'm kind of a note-taking perfectionist sometimes. Oh, I didn't want that there. Oh, that should be bigger. I should draw a picture there. So this really gives me a lot of control. So you can see I can import pictures, scan pictures, spreadsheets, make a table. For the drawing, this is really neat. So I can draw myself a nice little picture if I want to graph. I have a touch screen, so I can do that with my finger. Otherwise, I could use my mouse or my touchpad. So maybe I'm drawing a little graph here. I can highlight, so you saw I just selected highlighting. I can highlight my own writing. I can highlight my professor's writing. I can toggle colors and thicknesses, anything I want. Ink to math, so let's say I'm taking a statistics course. Here's that 2x. There we have it. Again, just by handwriting. Then it writes it all pretty for me. I hit insert. There it is, over here. So you can see where it is. I was silly and put my cursor over there. I should be able to move it. Let's see here. Yeah. Whoops. Control Z. Yeah. Up there is the text box. So see, I can move the slides. I can move this. Yeah, right here. Yeah, let me make it bigger. So your mileage will vary as far as if you just approach the teacher cold turkey and ask if you can record your class. If your student has documented disabilities and is receiving services through the Student Disability Services office at their school, so, you know, little bit of theory here, but once you go to college, you're no longer being served with an IEP. That only covers you through your secondary tenure. Once you transition to your post-secondary education, you're then being protected under the Americans with Disabilities Act. And so the rules are a little bit different, but if you have that documentation, then if that's part of your accommodations, the professor has to acquiesce and allow you to do that. If you do not have that for whatever reason, many professors are very willing to allow you to do that. Particularly, this is an opportunity to self-advocate. If you explain, look, it's really hard for me to keep up with taking notes. It's very stressful. I'm so busy taking notes that I can't absorb what you're saying and participate in class. This is important for my learning. A lot of professors are very open to that, particularly at the college level. We're seeing a lot more openness. Right, but really just highlighting that this is to promote your own learning. Some professors are worried that you're going to make those recordings public. Maybe they're worried that, you know, they'll be criticized if they're, you know, posted up on YouTube. So maybe just emphasizing to your professor that, you know, these are for my own personal use. You know, I'm not planning on sharing them. I just really need them for me to promote my learning, would be another angle. I have not had a problem. I don't record video typically. You are correct that a video file is larger than a sound file is larger than a text file. So one thing you could look into is there's a lot of options for external hard drives, external storage. So some students will utilize that. Particularly if they're wanting to save notes from a previous semester. So I know a lot of students that after a semester is over, if they do want to keep some of those notes, they'll transfer them to an external hard drive and delete them off their computer so they're ready for the next semester. Or if you don't intend to ever use them again, just go ahead and delete them. Their usefulness is expired. So a lot of great cloud options. I do always encourage people to be mindful with data security, particularly if you've got a professor who's very concerned about that, so just to be respectful of their concerns as well. The only safe data is data that you keep in hard storage, not connected to the internet ultimately. Everything else has a degree. Everything else has a degree of risk, so just weighing that, particularly like as a school psychologist in training, I have like case notes and stuff. I have to be mindful of client confidentiality, so I have different practices for some of those notes. So moving on, so who here has heard of the Smart Pen? Who here has actually seen one in action? Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, so the Smart Pen is a super cool piece of technology that I think is particularly friendly for people who have kind of an initial trepidation when using tech. There is only one button on this sucker, power button. I just hit it. This is the LiveScribe Echo Smart Pen. We have a whole bunch of these at ICATER that we loan out to students. There are other models available. This one's my personal favorite. All of your other buttons for functionality of this tool are on the paper itself. So how this works is this paper has little tiny metal particles in it that allow the pen to sense where it is on the page. So when I turn it on, record, that little ding tells me that it's on now. I can start taking notes, and it can tell where I am in the page as I am writing. So I may be taking some notes, and I can draw pictures, and I'm using this just like a regular ballpoint pen. This is a regular ballpoint nib. You know, maybe that's really neat. Something's going to be on the test. Oh no. There we go. So then when I'm done taking my notes, I hit stop. Little ding again tells me that it has stopped recording. Now, maybe I'm back studying. Oh, I don't know what I was thinking about when I wrote this. All I have to do is tap in my notes, and it's fast forwarding to what was being said, what was being recorded as I was writing. Pretty slick, huh? So then, when I plug my pen into my computer, I've downloaded the LiveScribe software from their website. It will sync this up, and I will have a PDF with my notes on it, everything I've written, everything I've drawn, and the audio file. It's an MP3. I can put that on my phone, listen to it over, relive my lecture over again. I can also rip these pages out, send them through a printer. Maybe my professor has sent the PowerPoint slides. Print out the slides on the paper. The program won't know that those slides are on there already because I didn't write them with the pen. It relies on that interface to know that. But then I've got some structure for my note taking, and I'll still have all the notes that I took on that, and of course some really cool hard copy notes. So that's another way people use this tool. Questions on this? Yes? It works pretty well. Like if I was in a classroom about this size, I would probably be fine much bigger than this, and I would probably want to invest in microphone headphones. So what they are, they're little headphones that you wear that mimic your ears, so it gets that directionality, filters out some of that noise, magnifies, so you can hear your presenter a little better. And those are available as well. So that's what I would probably do with this. This is the mic right here. But it's pretty good. Okay, so the last note-taking tool we want to go over real quick is Notability.
So this one right here.
And Notability actually has a special place in my heart because it's part of how I first found ICATER. I had a class with my colleague Jenny, who's the other ICATER GA, and we were both taking notes using Notability. So we kind of bonded over that. So this is actually this is the first, oh, I'm sorry, let's go over here. Now we can see, okay, so this is the opening screen of Notability, and you can see that I've got a couple different folders there on that side of the screen. This is how I organized, so maybe I'd have a different folder for each class. We gave a presentation to the Boy Scouts, so we imported some documents about the Boy Scouts for them to practice with. The way I would do that is you see this little downward arrow right up here in the top corner. So I would import files I'm not connected to the internet, but I can import PowerPoint slides or any kind of PDF or Word document or whatever I want, and it'll populate in the slide. So here's a document. Looks like someone was writing a story. Wonderful. And now I can start taking notes on this. So I can have text. I can type with my keyboard. If I've got a Bluetooth keyboard, I can use that. So text, yay. I can have highlighting. This looks like it's going to be important. I can also modify my color, thickness, and opacity of that. Oh, didn't mean to highlight that. I can erase it. Here's where it gets cool. Actually, let me fix this real quick. Okay, so here's a previous one. No, you silly thing. Let's just go ahead and delete all of these. And it is just that easy to clean out your recordings if you want. Okay, so I'm going to start recording. Now it's listening to me. So I'm going to go back to my notes, and maybe I'm drawing a little picture. Oh, look, that looks important. Definitely should pay attention to that. So on, so forth. Oh, whoops, I didn't mean to have that there. This is the moving button. You can see I can move things again for us note-taking perfectionists. Maybe I'd like that over there. That looks good. And then you can see how everything I wrote is grayed out. And then as I'm listening to this recording, it's repopulating it. It's like living my lecture over again. So just like the Smart Pen, just like OneNote can do that same thing. Really nice. And then, okay, yes, thank you. I can also export this, so I can email it to myself. I can send it to my Dropbox for storage, share it with another user. That's how Jenny and I got to be friends. She was sick one day, and so I sent her my notes. So a lot of students who do not have any difficulties use Notability, so that's going to be a great way to network with your classmates, make some friends, get your notes, import them directly into Notability. You can also print them out. Right now it's going for about $6, $7. The pen is called a Smart Pen. This is the Echo. The LiveScribe Echo Smart Pen is the one we demoed. LiveScribe makes several different models. I should also real quick speak to storage space. We use the 2 gig model. That's usually plenty. They come in as large as 8 gigs. For most people, that's overkill. Ballpark around $100, $200 again, depending on the model and the memory. And if you'd like to try something out, come on up. I'm sorry? Handwriting to text on Notability. I do not believe it has that feature, no.
There are some that do.
Yes.
We've got some apps on the iPad that will do that.
I think OneNote might do that. I haven't tried that feature, but it might have it. I would have to look. Great question.
You personally, when you're taking notes and what do you utilize the most?
I use OneNote, and I am largely a typer, is how I tend to take notes myself. So I use OneNote. Sometimes I'll use that recording feature as well, is what I tend to use. But one of the things I like about OneNote is it does have lots of features, so just depending on what I need, I know I've got the feature to support that.
Well, I'm worried about the pen that
Yes, that's a big concern.
expensive or what it is.
Yes, it's a powerful tool, but yes, it is very small, and there is a lot